Hey guys, how's it going? We're going to do a real quick build guide and then show the boss fight from the Diablo 4 beta. So this is my Whirlwind build. I think it's good for the campaign and exploring dungeons, and its weakness is single target DPS on bosses. That can be mitigated a little bit, but this build out is more for movement, mobility, and just kind of like a general fun playstyle. In terms of skills, we can look at the skill tree real quick. And what we're doing here, how do I full screen the thing? Anyways, so it's basically Frenzy, and then every skill is going to have the modifiers. So Whirlwind +5, so I pump points into Whirlwind, and then its modifier is deal 30% increased damage after 2 seconds of Whirlwinding. The bleed version is also an option, so this would be 20 seconds of bleed. Ground Stomp, where its modifier is Ground Stomp, gives Fury, so that's very important. So all of the other abilities that are on cooldowns on the skill bar are going to give Fury so that we can get the Whirlwind kind of going. Rallying Cry gives movement speed and then is also modified to give Fury. Leap is your movement ability. You jump across the screen. You knock things back, and then that also gains Fury with a modifier. And then you've got Death Blow, which is like a replacement for a regular attack. It's kind of like a finishing move, and if it kills anything, the cooldown resets, so you can do it a couple of times in a row, and then it gains 20 Fury when it hits something. So when you're dungeoning, you want to use all 4 of these abilities that grant Fury and are put together in a way that's meant to clear the dungeon, clear the mobs, right? And then you've got the ultimate, and for the ultimate, I like Wrath of the Berserker, but Call of the Ancients is also an option. I never played with Iron Maelstrom, but Call of the Ancients and Wrath of the Berserker, these are 2 classic skills, at least from D3, right? So looking at like the bar, right, you leap in, you start whirling to suck enemies in, because that's one of the legendary modifiers for Whirlwind, is it sucks the enemies in. So suck everything in, and then ground stomp it to stun it. And then if you're dungeoning, you would have your bar set like this, where your rotation is leap, Whirlwind, ground stomp, and then clean up the mess with Death Blow. And then on cooldown, just use Rallying Cry. The problem is it's a very short duration for the speed buff, 6 seconds. So you can use it to either get your Fury started or kind of use it in the middle of the fight or whatever. So use Rallying Cry kind of strategically. It's there to give some movement speed. It's also mainly there just as a way to get the 25 Fury. Now, in terms of items, obviously you're going to want all legendaries imprinted with the stuff that you need, but specifically for my guy, I've got Whirlwind. Whirlwind pulls enemies in. This ring here has Lucky Hit when you damage an enemy with Leap, Upheaval, or Whirlwind, so we're using Leap and Whirlwind. 46% chance to summon an Ancient that's doing the same skill. So you're Whirlwinding, it basically activates Call of the Ancients for 1 Ancient. It's Whirlwinding as well. And that can happen every 5 seconds. That's a lot between leaping and Whirlwinding the whole time. And then those are the 2 Whirlwind skills. This one also crosses over with Leap. And then for Leap, I've got cooldown reduction on Leap when you hit enemies. So up to 9-second cooldown reduction. And we'll talk about the cooldowns in a second. And then on the pants, Leap creates Earthquakes. And those earthquakes deal damage, and then the earthquakes also prevent damage while you're in them. So you leap in, you make an earthquake, you whirlwind in the earthquake, you're kind of being buffed a little bit there. And in general, the kind of legendary modifiers for the barbarian is different things can make earthquakes. We've got the skills that can summon an ancient, There's things that make dust devils, right? Whirlwind can make dust devils too, as a thing. When you're berserking, deal fire damage to things around you. So like you're burning when you're berserking, and then Wrath of the Berserker automatically gives you Berserker the ultimate. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on, and then there's also all kinds of just like damage modifiers. So like deal increased damage when you have a barrier active. What's a barrier? Well, if you're playing the sorcerer, you've got your standard elemental barriers, but if you're playing the barbarian, you've got something called Iron Skin, which is a defensive ability which automatically gives you a barrier. So you could swap into that if you wanted to like gain bonuses from having barriers or different legendary aspects that interact with barriers in some way. So there's synergies like that. There should be synergies for like close enemies, far enemies, dealing damage with core skill like Whirlwind, or a basic skill like Frenzy, right? So like understanding the difference between the core and the basic skill. The basic skill is usually the default skill that generates Fury. The core skill is generally the skills that use Fury, right? So all little different things like that. And then one more thing worth calling out is on boots and pants, there's additional affixes towards the top. So like if you see at the top here, every item has item power, right? And then it's got like its main stats, so like armor. But then right under that is evade briefly grants plus 50% move, 52% move speed. So when you hit the dodge button, immediately after you get a speed boost. And what's amazing is this is increased by the item level from the blacksmith. So this starts at 40%, but gains 10% for every item level that you improve it at the blacksmith. So, 40, 44, 48, 52. That's a really big difference just from upgrading the item, which is cool. And then pants can do something similar. These don't have it, but pants can have modifiers for potions. So like one of them is use a potion, get 30% barrier. So I'm talking about barriers a lot, but like if you're one of the easiest ways to increase just overall DPS is by using those kind of skills, like 50% damage increase when you have a barrier going. Okay, how can I get barriers? Iron Skin or this modifier for potions, where potions give you barriers, right? Those are like the easy ways to trigger it whenever you need it, like in your rotation or whatever, right? So that's kind of what's going on with the items. Not going to worry too much about like gems or different modifiers or whatever. Like in general, you would be looking for the affixes that say like plus, core skill damage or plus basic damage. So this is a good example. This one has 13% basic skill damage and plus 4% core skill damage. So as far as I'm aware, weapons and gloves are the main places where you can get these different modifiers that you would want. And like if I had to guess what the best setup would be, it would be like plus core skill damage, plus basic skill damage, plus strength, probably, right? On something like this where there's 4 properties. And you can always re-roll the properties. In the beta, that's not worth doing. But in general, that's how the game is going to play out, is as you're leveling, replace equipment out all the time, whatever, don't worry about it. When you hit max level, you're always saving your legendary items, but when you hit max level, you should start going by item power, basically. Really, the whole time you should go by item power. Whatever has higher item power is probably better. And then just keep on swapping out the imprintable skills. I mean, in general, that's what I would say. And then the last thing is for this particular boss, you can get the elixirs, right? The consumables. So like weak elixir of lightning, the boss is a poison boss. You get the weak elixir of poison, just a poison resistance elixir. So like this gives 15% poison resistance for 30 minutes if it was the poison variant. So the boss fight's only 15 minutes. Use an elixir, it lasts 30. Great, right? Okay. So now, with that being said, let's watch the boss fight. Let's see, I gotta find the right one. You try not to use this. Sorry about this. Got a million like small videos. I need to find the right one. Okay, here it is. Alright, so let's turn the volume off over here. Okay. Bring up the VOD. This is just a recording I made last night of this. Okay, you can see at the right there, the fight begins in 3 minutes, just fast forwarding. Okay, let me go to full screen. So I'll talk a little bit during the fight here. Basically, we've got a good crew. We've got a lot of 25s. If you look at the mini-map, you can kind of see how many people are around, right? So it looks like, I don't know, 700 dots on the map. Somebody already died. That's cool. Or no, that's the boss. Alright, so this is already a good example of what you do. The boss will jump away, you leap in, and then you dodge its AoE attacks, and then you just try to stay on it with the Whirlwind. And the Whirlwind, which ignores collision, lets you get right up on its feet, and you're basically out of all of its attack range when you're doing that. So take 1 chip shot damage there. But just in general, trying to dodge its AoE circles, stay on its feet, use my skills that regenerate my fury. Occasionally I run out and I have to actually do regular attacks. But in general, if you're watching your fury and you're watching your rotation really good, you should be able to always Whirlwind. There I got one of those Summon Ancient procs. Dodge, get some attacks, get my fury back, leap, nice dodge. So like, I hope, what I'm trying to get out of this is like, as this boss is jumping around, there's more than one occasion where I'm kind of the first one back on top of it. And it just depends if I have my leap cooldown up or not. And it's the benefit of being on the PC where I can click on the boss and it will leap any distance to it. And on the controller, on Xbox or whatever, your leap is kind of going to have a shorter range, shorter distance. So that attack there was kind of like the only time I took damage, and then I'm cautious of that attack going forward. But other than that, I think it was a pretty good run. It's also 3 in the morning when I'm doing this. Somebody died there. There's two death markers. They have to respawn in. See, we're just staying out of range of that swipe. If you can't keep up with the boss, what he's doing is he's swiping you, and that swipe and the one before, those are all kind of like one-hit KO moves. So if you can't keep up with him, then you're likely to get hit by these attacks, where he smashes in front, or he does the big swipes. And then the bosses drop like 3 to 4 legendaries. And they're supposed to give an item cache as well. But on the beta it was glitched, so. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching that. Thanks a lot for sitting through it, and I hope you learned something about the game and enjoy when it launches for real. Thanks a lot.